Hi, that was really hot. Hi, everybody. We have about 5 more minutes, so we're just going to wait for a few more people to come for 5 more minutes. But you are listening to the beautiful musical stylings of Amanda Allyn, one of our guest artists this morning. So yes, please enjoy her as you listen for 5 more minutes, and we're about to get started. Good morning, everyone. We're going to start with the song called Crowded Table, which is sort of our hope for this morning. So join along with our choir, the Valley Voices. We've got Kahl and Amanda Allyn here leading with us this morning. We're so grateful to have them. Please, you're gonna catch on to the song. It's by Brendy Carlisle and the High Women. You're gonna catch on to it. Join in when you get it. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for singing along. Thank you, Devin, for that solo. That was great. And thank you, Drew Brown, for introducing us to this song. Drew's the one that brought us Crowded Table. Guys, welcome. My name is Kate Brown. I'm the director of Art Church, and I'm also the director of Inclusion and Engagement here at Humber Valley United Church. And we've been trying this as a pilot. We've been trying just to see, we believe art heals us, art lifts us to the divine, art fills us with enthusiasmos of that feeling of being alive or lifted up. And so we've just been exploring, seeking the divine through art, through all different mediums of art this summer. As we say, every single week we meet at Humber Valley, every single gathering. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, whatever you've done or perhaps left undone, whoever you love, however you identify, whatever you believe or your relationship to the Church of Christianity, you are welcome here this morning. You belong here with us. We are excited to have you. Thank you for coming and being with us. And before we go any further, we want to acknowledge the lands that we're meeting on this morning. The lands belong to the original storytellers and caretakers of the land, our First Peoples. Oh, we're going to do an official one this morning, okay? The Mississaugas of the Credit, say it with me. The Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat peoples. The territory was the subject of the dish with one spoon wampum belt covenant. For all those who were lost, for all those who were stolen, for all those who were left behind, for all those who are not forgotten. Thank you. Today, I'm excited to have a few different artists with us in different venues. We have Jeff Kahl and the Valley Voices, who's here with us every week. He's our house band. These guys, thank you so much, choir. We have Amanda Allyn, who, I don't even know how to introduce her except to say that she is a brilliant musical theater music director, and she came into my life when I had a really difficult funeral to officiate, and she came and she was at the last second able to play just like the soundtrack from Wicked for good. She played and blessed a family that really needed that today. So she and I became friends, and now she helps play with choir sometimes. We're thrilled to have her with us. And last but certainly not least, we have my friend R.H. Thomson, my friend, who I'm proud to say is my friend. There's so many ways that I could introduce R.H. Like Kevin was trying to give me come on over, Griff, no problem. Here are all of his accolades in case you want to introduce him this way. I am going to tell you a story, because story is what we're talking about this morning. It was my first time ever working at the Tarragon Theatre. I had run my own theater company for some time working out of the Tarragon, but it was the first time I had been invited to become the music director and associate director for Richard Rose, the artistic director of the Tarragon. I show up, and it is like the legendary, Mount Rushmore of Canadian theater actors. It was R.H. Thomson and David Fox, and I walked in 30 years old with my long hair, and I walked in hello, and I said to R.H. Thomson, I really loved you on Road to Avonlea as Jasper Dale. Yes. And literally, he didn't know this, but that was my childhood crush, was Jasper Dale. So I'm meeting him at the Tarragon, but he looks at me and says, I've done a couple of things since then. What an embarrassing thing to start off with. Then, though, this person is probably both the most methodical, he mines scripts. If you look at one of R.H. Thomson's scripts, he finds every detail. He figures out every single piece of this, like a scientist examining things from every angle. He also is a total sense of humor mischief maker. And on one of my very first rehearsals, yeah, he knows. On one of my very first rehearsals, part of the play involves cookies. So there's dad's cookies on the stage managers, you do not touch the props. I didn't know this. So R.H. comes over, I think he's just being really nice, and he hands me a package of dad's cookies. And so I'm eating the cookies, and all of a sudden the stage manager comes over, what are you doing? And I just see R.H. in the corner, who I barely know, who I've looked up to my whole life, killing himself laughing, crying laughing. Anyway, I'm thrilled to have him here. He's going to talk about story today from his own experiences, how the stories that we tell ourselves change the way that we think, and how story relates to both theater and faith. So we're thrilled to have him, and we are going to sing a song that's about story right now, and I would invite you to join us. It's called One Tin Soldier, and it's a protest song from the 70s, but it really applies today, and we've really enjoyed singing it with choir. Thank you for singing that one with us. We're going to do an ancient Christian tradition right now called the sharing of the peace. And so this is just a moment where we bear witness to one another's lives and we extend the peace of Christ. So in just a moment, I'm going to say, may the peace of Christ be with you, and you say, and also with you. And then we're just going to extend peace, whether it's giving a peace sign, whether it's shaking a hand, a hug, a high five, a wink, whatever you want to do. Please stand with me. May the peace of Christ be with you. Peace, peace, peace. Choir, you guys can go have a seat. Great job singing. And now I'd like to invite artist Gayle Taylor up. Gayle is one of my friends here at Humber Valley United Church. She is one of our resident artists.
Hi.
Yes, and she is a poet. So the first time I met Gayle, it was actually a really hard year for both of us, and we were at the, we have something at Christmas. We know Christmas isn't always easy for people, so we have something called Like the Night. And so Gayle and I met that night, and we both couldn't quite sit through the whole service, so we met in the minister's office. and Gayle showed me her beautiful book of poems that she had written as a way of helping to get sorrow out of her body. And she's a beautiful poet, and we actually had Judy, who's here today. Judy Smith has actually helped produce one of Gayle's books of poetry, so that's available for you. But Gayle, would you like to go up here? Yes, I will. Okay, great.
Hi, I hope everyone can hear me. I didn't bring my poem's down there.
That's okay, we can run it up for you. David Kitchen's got it. Woo, Gayle! Woo!
Okay, I got it. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. Okay, the poem I'm doing now is called, can you hear me? Okay, do you believe? I was watching TV one quiet evening, then I heard a voice coming at me. Do you believe in me? A chill ran through my body, so I looked all around, saw no one there, then I heard it again. Do you believe in me? I got scared, sat very still. I thought to myself, how can this be? I'm alone. Then I heard it again. Do you believe in me? So again, I searched my home, looked out all the windows, checked all my closets, found no one there. Then I heard it again. Do you believe in me? Though the words were soft and as gentle as can be, that voice had asked me again, do you believe in me? At age 5, I was playing on the monkey bars. Then I fell. I felt so embarrassed, so I got up and walked home. Unbeknown to me, a piece of tree bark got lodged in my ear. I finished public school and high school thinking I was dumb. Years later, I got a hearing aid. Yet you ask, do you believe in me? At age 7, bold as I was, I went to many different churches, seeking and searching for answers. I found no one there. Yet again you ask, do you believe in me? From a very young age until now, I always felt I was alone. But there it is, it came again and asked, do you believe in me? I recognize the voice now, or heard it before. Why does it keep asking, do you believe in me? I fell in love in high school. I was married by 20. This man I thought I would grow old with. You took. Oh, sorry. Yet you ask, do you believe in me? I came to Humber Valley when I was pregnant with my youngest child. It'd be 40 years ago. Because my marriage was dying, I was heartbroken and very scared. I left my husband when my daughter was 2 months old. Yet you ask, do you believe in me? If you be whom I think you are, then surely you know the feelings of anger and hurt I have inside from years ago. Yet you ask, do you believe in me? My father was an abusive husband. You took him anyway. Then he came back that same year and took my mom away. Yet you ask, do you believe in me? I got sad when I remember my childhood. Respect and love should have been there. I miss my mom and dad, yet you ask, do you believe in me? I raised my children. I did 2 jobs to make ends meet. There were times I was really tired, yet you ask, do you believe in me? My oldest brother was in the hospital. The disease he had was terminal. Instead of taking that disease, you took him instead. Again, you ask, do you believe in me? I was scared, really scared, the year I found out I had cancer. But I still felt comfort. I had both my children with me. Then you ask, do you believe in me? It was nice of you. You gave us free will. But where were you when my youngest child died with alcohol? In 2020, you came and took her too. Then you ask, do you believe in me? Now, my youngest brother has dementia. What can I say? I haven't said already. Yet you ask, do you believe in me? I live upon your earth, I drink your water, eat your food. Though you are the Almighty, I think of you as a child in need of reassurance. Yet you ask, do you believe in me? We all deal with things that happen, so when I now watch TV on a quiet evening and I hear your voice coming at me, I can say, yes, I believe. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gayle, for sharing that. See what I mean about art sometimes giving us a totally different perspective on someone or opening us up to something that we didn't know? Thank you so much. Sometimes art is so personal, too. We're going to sing a song right now. I'm going to invite Penny and Shelley up, and I want you to sing along, too. It's called After the Gold Rush. Do you know that one? Great. Please sing along with us. This is a song, again, that tells a story, and this time it's sort of a fantasy story about Earth and creation and our home. And yeah. Oh, Deb, come on up too. Sure. Gemma, do you want to come up too? Do you know this one? Okay. So you're going to sing melody, you're singing melody, you're singing high harmony, and you're singing, what are you singing? Low mellow. Okay, great.
Gemma, do you want to stand beside me?
No, actually, you stand center. Okay. Gemma, you stand here. This is how Art Church works. We don't really rehearse. It's very authentic. You're right. It's very authentic. It's really authentic. That's right, the choir director figuring out where everyone stands. I think we're good. Okay.
I was thinking about what a friend had said.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for singing along. You may have a seat, and I want to invite up my friend, R.H. Thomson, Robert Thomson. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, thank you for having me. Thank you for tolerating me. I come to the theater. You can boo, you can cheer, you can walk out. That's all happened to me on stages, whatever. I want to sort of open a discussion on storytelling because we're surrounded by stories, whether you're watching Netflix or a streamer or this or that. This building is full of stories. These incredible windows have stories. There's an incredible story in there. There's a story in the flag. There's a story in the way that the pews are arranged. There's a story in the kind of wood that everything bears a story. And you go, well, no, that's just the way the church is. The roof is like this and the windows are like that. But it's all carrying a story. And the question is, do we actually understand the stories that we are writing on? Because, as we've seen in the two songs, the one about the 10 soldiers, stories can have the power to heal and they can have the power to destroy. And we're in a very destructive world at the moment. Lots at stake. You want to talk about Mr. Trump? Do you want to talk about climate crisis? Do you want to talk about Ukraine? Do you want to talk about Gaza? Do you want to talk about... We don't want to talk about income inequality. There's so many things that we are unstable about. We don't know how to go. Okay, I'm an actor. What am I talking about politics? I shouldn't. Okay, so this is a slide. This is actually the Carina Nebula. Okay, so the Carina Nebula, where's south? Where's north? Is north there? Okay, here's the story. Where's the consensus? Where's north? North is that way? Hey, we could have a war about it. Okay, so we think north is there, right? So we think south is down there. Okay, so south is there. Okay, so I want you to look at the floor beneath your feet. Just look between your feet. Okay, that's down to the earth, right? That is in the earth. Okay, so we're going to look at the Carina Nebula because it's in the southern hemisphere. It exists right now. It looks like that. This is a picture from the James Webb Telescope, a fantastic telescope. It's down there. That is down there. And if you look between your feet, then you look through the mantle, then you look through the core of the earth, then you look out, which you can actually do because we're sitting on a ball. Then you look out. This is real world. I'm not making this stuff. Then you look straight through the earth, and I think it's short distance. I think it's like 3 trillion kilometers something. It's really short. It's a close neighbor. That's there. That is there now. That is where we live. I know we got a church in here and the nice and the lawn is mowed and the cars are nice and the Tim Hortons has got semi-okay donuts, except they're not. But that's where we live. This is, the reason I put it up is because aesthetically, and I will notice that some of the colors in the Carina Nebula are reflected in the colors in these windows. Weird, eh? And what's happening here is you see the mists rising into the blue. That's exactly like evaporation of subatomic particles. The bombardment, new stars are being created there, and so the bombardment of interstellar particles and subatomic particles and radiation is so intense, it's blowing stuff off, and that mist is rising. This is a very violent place. Totally violent. We would not last a nanosecond, but that's where we live. You see the cloud and the kind of shapes in it. That's being shaped by the radiation coming down from above from the new stars. So the radiation is pounding into all that space dust, and shaping it just like the rains shape the mountains in the Rockies. These rains of cosmic particles are shaping this, just like on Earth. So it's violent, it's very beautiful, but it's kind of similar. There's a lot of stars being created in here, and the stars are what, clouds of dust and particles come together, and under gravitation they get very dense, and then they light on fire, and then you get a star, and then you get the sun. They are being created there. So this is a star nursery. This is down there between your feet, right now. And the really weird thing is that most of what makes up our bodies came through one of these cycles. When Joni Mitchell writes, "We are stardust," she is literally true. We are. Apart from the helium and hydrogen, we're actually there early at the Big Bang, every atom in you, whether it's iron, whether it's carbon, whether it's this, whether it's that, was formed in one of these star cycles. Strange but true. So whether you're talking about your glasses, your brain, your hand, your fingernails, your toes, your shoes, part of you has come through that. Part of me has come through that. And there's a good chance that part of some of us came through that place. So that's the connection. This isn't some, weird NASA makes a big picture of something that's trillions of kilometers away. No, this is where we live. It's violent. We do not survive for a nanosecond. It's incredibly awesome. It's incredibly beautiful. And that's where we live. So the question is, how do you survive? How do you survive in that kind of environment? Now, I'm coming back to story, because you embed yourself in the story. You got to make sense of this. Robert just made up a story about this. Happens to be sort of true, that the stars are being born there, that the radiation is forming the mountains or the clouds, as it were, that this is a very near neighbor, and that lots of pieces of us came from that place. I can encapsulate that in a series of facts, or I can put it in a story. And if I put it in a story, somehow it has meaning for us. Okay. So I took science at university, that's all. I apologize, I know I'm an actor, blah, 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 blah. But the pictures coming back from space are stunning. Kevin, can we go to the next picture, please? So I'm a performer and I tell stories. And when I became a performer, I come out, I want to this is me in the National Ballet. Yep, that's me in the National Ballet. I'm playing one of what are they called? The Cannondons, okay. So you got these people called the storytellers, and they tell stories about things, right? And by and large, the storytellers in the Western tradition, we started in the church, right? The theater people, we started in the church, and we told stories and did plays in churches. We did it, in the fairs, then we did it in the churches, and up until the 13th century and the 14th century. And then the churches kicked us out. The only place plays were done was in the churches, and they were religious plays about Herod, about this, about the Nativity, about whatever. And then someplace in the 16th century, the churches said, "Get out. Get out." And we did. We were kicked out. We weren't allowed, because we started telling stories that were not quite to the dogma, so to speak. I've been in some of them. It's called the York crucifixion cycle. I won't go into that. That's later. But the performers got kicked out, but we continued telling stories, so to speak. Now, we think we're just entertaining. I joke about my profession. My profession is really about fooling people for money. That's basically the profession, right? I pretend to be Kevin, can we go on to the next slide? Yeah, just flip her on. And we do all kinds of different stories. This is an incredible story by Guy Vanderhaeghe called The Englishman's Boy, in which I play a total racist anti-indigenous, racist anti-black, a total racist leftover from the American Civil War. Can we go to the next one, Kevin? David Fox is in here. We all know David Fox. This is a religious story about Samuel Lount. Samuel Lount, the rebellion of 1837, just here in Toronto, right? And it was a rebellion about the family compact. Samuel Lount was a Quaker, the Sons of Light Church in Sharon, and he was part of the pushback. And after the rebellion failed, the British hung two people, Samuel Lount, and of course I can't remember the other guy's name. They hung two people, and the fact that he was a Quaker really, and his wife organized a petition, 1838, and got 65,000 people in Ontario to sign the petition in 1838, saying to the British, don't hang him. But they did, they hung him. They hung him basically at King Street in Jarvis. That's where the gallows were, and that's where they hung. Can we go to the next slide, please? So we're telling stories and we're performing. This story, okay. Got to do a lot of range. Next slide, please. That's Anne with an E, giving a wonderful horse. The horse's name is Barney. This Canadian story played all over the world. I have people come up to me from Iran and from Iraq who said, you got me through the war, because they watched either Road to Avonlea or Anne with an E while their countries were in turmoil. Can we go to the next slide, please? Then we do wild stories. This is Waiting for Godot. This is Trying to Silence the Story Keeper. And can we go to the next photo? And that's me on, when is it? Oh, yes, I'm on Murdoch Mysteries. Okay. So I want to be an actor. Hey, I want to act. I want to make money acting, right? I want to be, okay. And I'm a young actor, so I'm going back to the Carina Nebula. I'm a young actor, and I've just got some TV parts. I'm very excited. I got a TV part. Oh my God, maybe I'll have. And I'm in the CBC, and I meet Frank Schuster. If you remember John Wayne and Frank Schuster, Wayne and Schuster, very famous comedy group. And Frank Schuster comes up to me in the hall. He says, Robert. And first I'm a young actor, and I'm totally awed that he knew who I was. You know, I'm a young actor hoping to get along, and he's an old and very famous comedian. And we started talking about comedy, and I thought, I'm totally blessed to be talking to this guy, whatever, I counted, well. And in the midst of the conversation, he said, Robert, do you understand there's only 7 jokes? And I went, oh yeah, you're old, you got crazy ideas. I'm old and I got crazy ideas? I looked at him and I said, you're old, you got crazy. He said, no, Rob, there's only 7 jokes. See, I don't trust my memory, really. He could have said 10. I remember the telling of the story. I don't remember the number. But it was 7 or it was 10. And he said, Robert, so you understand there's only 7 jokes in the world. Oh, come on, get out of here. You're crazy. He said, no. He said, all jokes are basically variations of the 7 or combinations of the 7, depending on the culture, depending on the circumstance. But it's basically 7 jokes you can tell about living in the Carina Nebula. Okay? And I thought no more about it. Whatever. Famous, okay, you're famous, you're funny, but I don't believe you. Okay. So after playing all these parts and whatever, working with Kate and all the rest of it, I started to ask him, well, what about the stories that I'm in? Okay, I'm not here to pretend to be someone else. I'm here to tell you a story. And I could only count 5. So this is my challenge to you. And I believe there's only 5 stories. And I call it a 5-story universe. And I want to go back to the church, and I want to talk about the windows, and I talk about that. But it's a 5-story universe. I don't think anyone invented story. No one kind of leapt up from the fire 40,000 years ago and said, I have an idea, I'm going to tell you all a story. No. Stories are embedded in us. And I don't know why, but they are. And they're what I call imperatives. And I believe there's only 5 of them. Look, the Christian church is built on stories, right? Jesus, the incredible guy, lived, and then they started writing about him 30 years later, and then whatever, the Council of Nicaea, then it started, and the church hierarchy started building all these stories around the stories of the extraordinary prophet. But they built stories around them, and this whole edifice of the church runs on those stories now, most of which are very, very good, and we're trying to get rid of the toxic ones. But they're stories about compassion, optimism, a place in the universe, purpose, love. The 5 stories are worth thinking about, and they come in a hierarchy. The first one I discovered only because I was yelling at the television. Okay, so I would, we all yell at the television, go, whatever you yell at the television. And I'm watching television with my kids who are like 5 and 7, and Dad, the actor, is yelling about whatever program. He says, the script is bad, and the actors, what they're doing, and whatever. And then in the television drama, there would be a chase. Suddenly, Bill the policeman starts chasing James the crook. And the moment the chase happened on the bad television program, Dad stopped yelling and watched the chase. Then the chase ended, and Dad went, that wasn't very good anyway. And it happened over and over again. There would be a piece of action, no matter how fascinating I'm in, if King Charles ran in here with a gun in his hand and chased me out there, you would not be listening to a thing I said. You'd be following King Charles chasing me with a gun. That's the first story. It's an imperative. You cannot not pay attention. It's called Kill or Be Killed. That is the elemental story. Will the bear eat me? Will the bad guy dissolve me? Will whatever. The Kill or Be Killed story is totally the root of it. It takes no skill to tell that story, which is why all the cheap producers in the world make Kill or Be Killed stories at the end of time, and everybody's got a gun, because it's the cheapest, the most unskillful way of catching your attention. The point is, it catches your attention because you all want to live. Nobody wants to be eaten by the bear, right? You don't tell stories, everyone who puts their children to bed and tells them a bedtime story, they never tell a story where the bear actually eats the child, right? The child always escapes from the bear. First story. Which is why there's so many professional movie producers they'll spend $240 million on a Marvel Comic Universe movie, which is nothing about killing people, which is nothing about being kill or be killed, and they will spend $240 million on it, and I call them toxic stories. Well, shut up. Okay, right. The next story is equally an imperative. Again, I would yell at the television, it's Hallmark card, or it's this or that, and when John and Mary, in a really redundant, boring scene, kiss, I stop yelling. I watch the kiss, and they part, and I start yelling again. Like, what? I hate this movie. I hate the movie. I hate the writing. I think it's so banal. And they're making millions of dollars. And yet when they kiss, I stop yelling. My mind stops, and I go, second story, the imperative. And it's imperative because you cannot not watch. It is the love story, right? Every rom-com, every this, every Romeo and Juliet, every detective show, every lawyer show has always got a love interest in it. Not because they want to tell the story, they know the love interest will keep you watching, and they want you watching because they want the advertising dollars. It's as banal as that. But the love story is the second story, and you cannot not watch. It's an imperative, genetic imperative. I'm going back to the Carina Nebula. How do we survive these places? We have to have the love story because we need union and we need babies if we're going to survive. So John and marriage, or Sanjay and Rachel must marry because we must have babies. And it's the fertility thing. It is an imperative, and you must watch it. So again, the second story, and again, all the cheap producers who don't have any skill will do love stories because they know people are going to watch. Okay. Watch yourself watching when they kiss, right? Nobody looks away. When's the last person who looked away when people kissed on screen? No, you'll all watch because you're hooked, because it's an imperative. But as the stories go up with the 5 of them, they get more and more complicated. And because they get layers, the love story, as well as we want babies, is about union. Because we have never figured out why we are separated into genders. This is a mystery to us. And so when the genders, or whatever forms they are, make union, that fulfills something in us. We yearn for union. We know our survival depends on the union, as well as the babies. The love story then becomes, we're all talking about in a church, union with God, union with universe. So the union story starts to get very, very powerful because it's a yearning to have union, whether it's with your husband, with your lover, with your church, with your land, with your purpose, with your God. That union is like 7,000 volts of electricity running through the place. So that's the second story. The stories get more and more complicated as they get up, and they get a little harder to tell. The next one, okay, so what are the television series you watch? Law and Order, great. Law and Order. What else? Rex. Okay. What's Rex? Rex is the dog, and they're finding the criminal, right? Law and Order is finding the criminal. Okay. Finding and then justice. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, finding the criminal. Okay, so the mystery stories, the law stories, the this stories, the court stories, the detective stories, they're all based on getting the bad guy, yeah, but finding out who did it. I need to find out who did it, and then we get them, because they're bad, right? We need to find who did it. So someone did something, and I need a hero or a great cop or a whatever to go find who did it, and then we'll get them. Okay. That's a mystery story. That on the simple level, someone stole the walker. Who stole the walker? Kate spends the next 2 hours finding out who stole the locker. And Robert stole the locker, and she drags him in and says, you can't steal the locker. Okay. So it's finding out who did it. And criminality is easy because it's dangerous, it's kill or be killed stories in there, but it's also about, there's a truth. See, the stories start to sit on a bigger and bigger base that sits on the truth of, there's a truth that's withheld from me. Somebody's got the truth, and I need to know it. And in the simpler telling, I need a detective, I need the lawyer, I need Rex to go out and find the truth. But the bigger story it's sitting on is we don't actually know the whole truth. And I need a hero or heroine to go find the truth. And that's the imperative. That, like looking at the Carina Nebula, you're living in a place in which you know you don't know the whole truth. And therefore I need a detective, a hero, a prophet, a poet to go and tell me the truth about it. And the truth can be not only who stole the walker, but it can be why. Why is there this? Why is there pain and suffering? Why do people hate each other? So the mystery stories, and Christianity is all about the mystery, is listening or finding the prophet or the detective to tell me the truth, because I don't know the truth of where I live. And I need to know in order to survive. So the mystery stories start to get more and more metaphysical, and they become very important. Again, what I call stories are imperatives. They're not like, hey, I'm going to tell you a story, sit down, we'll have a hot dog. No, I don't mean that. You listen. If you ever want to watch, when you're on an airplane next time, and they don't have the screens anymore in the back of the seats, but people watch movies on their phones. When you're sitting on an airplane, look at the person looking at their phone. Look at their demeanor as they look at the screen when the story's on. There's something you give yourself over to that story. And it's bizarre. The fourth story, these stories are more and more complicated and harder to tell. Therefore, the cheap producers tell them less and less. The fourth story, guesses? 4 stories, you can't smoke in here. No, that's not it. The popular versions of the 4 stories are the Spider-Mans, the Supermans, the Wonder Womans. Save the world. Sorry? Save the world. That's part of it. That's kill or be killed. That's prophet. But so what does Superman do? Superman is Clark Kent. He goes into the phone booth. Boop! He comes out. He transforms. Transformation. So the 4 stories are the transformation stories. And we're fascinated because we see a larvae become a butterfly. And we go, how does that work? Right? Larvae is really ugly and small and creepy and ghouly, and the butterfly is incredibly beautiful. And we wonder about this transformation. It's right at the heart of Christianity. The transformity of the story of Jesus, right? The mortal is transformed into a kind of... So the transformation stories really get us because we know there's more to our lives than we are living. We know that somewhere in the back of that. We know there's a greater potential out there. And the transformation stories are very important because you can transform down as well as transforming up. You can transform to, sorry?
Gods and monsters.
Gods and monsters, yep. Lucifer. So the transformation stories are Spider-Man, Superman, on the surface commercial level, and underneath it's the Christ story, it's the Muhammad story, it's the Buddhist story, it's Nelson Mandela. I often look at Nelson Mandela as a transformation story, right? Nobody knew about this guy. He fought in the apartheid regime in South Africa, and he spent 25 years in Robben Island for racist reasons. Nelson Mandela was black. He was let out of prison after 25 years, and the world went, wow. I thought, wait a minute, he doesn't have a marketing team, right? He doesn't have a press agent. And yet when he emerged from prison, the world went, wow. Why? Because he emerged without hate. And we all saw it. He transformed from a man who was so hated by a regime, by the racists, by the this. For 25 years, he came out with absolutely zero hate. And that was a transformation that we were astounded by. So the transformation stories are really, really important because they tell us about the values of who we are and what we aspire to. Again, 4-story genetic imperative told very, very rarely because it takes skill to tell it. Yes, I know there's Spider-Man and I know there's whatever, but we don't actually tell those stories in the mainstream because they're hard to tell. The 5th story, death? Death, yeah, it's related to it. Triumph over death, that's a bit of transformation, that's about a mystery, that's a bit kill or be killed. Redemption, no, that redemption is part of the transformation, kill or be killed. Mysteries, love, right? Love is redemption, so to speak. Well, usually only the churches and the religious groups told the creation stories. Oh, it slipped out. Yeah, the 5th story is the creation story. And before the globe figured out we were all one, everybody had their own creation story, right? And the creation story is how it all began. I'm going back to the Carina Nebula. Can we go back to the Carina Nebula there, Kevin? I'm going back to the creation story is someone stands up and says, okay, it's Turtle Island. We live on the back of a turtle. Or it's the Hindu story, we're a dream in a universe where the lotus blossoms. Or you're the Christian story, there were 7 days, worked for 6, paused on the 7th. Every culture said we need a story to put everything together. And the creation story, before the world opened up and we all knew about each other, the creation story was the unifying story. It can be toxic, it can be good, because it's a created story. But a creation story is the purpose. Why would we survive living in this place? How do we survive? So we put that in the creation story. And some people postulate because we do not have because the Christian Abrahamic creation story is wonderful. It's great. It's poetry. This is 72 trillion kilometers away, right? Universe is 13.5 billion years old. So The 7-day stuff is wonderful, but it's a kind of poetry to talk about something I can't quite talk about, because the knowledge horizon has moved so rapidly to say, well, first there was dark, then there was light, then there was this. First there was man, he was lonely, so we took a rib out and made it into a woman. Not so. The creation stories ran into a knowledge horizon, and they don't work anymore. They do not work. And the reason it seems to me that we are in total trouble with climate crisis is we do not have a unifying story. We cannot agree on a story. Because we have to be compassionate. It's not the Hindu story, it's not the Buddhist story, it's not the Abrahamic story, it's not the First Nations story. But we must have a creation story if we're going to survive that, if we're not going to uncreate each other. So those are the 5 stories, and they're the maps. So when we, the performers, start saying, hey, I'm going to tell you a story about Murdoch Mysteries or The Detective or this or Road to Avonlea, we're actually, if we're responsible, we are telling you about these imperative stories. And there's a lot of toxic storytellers out there now, and they are, I'm not going to swear here, they are toxic. Because they get to make millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars by having people shot and maimed or whatever on your screens. That's toxic. And I won't do toxic anymore. I just said to my agent, I'll do bad scripts, I'll do mediocre scripts, I'll do boring scripts, I'll do great scripts. I will not do toxic scripts. So those are where the performer, when the performers tell the story, either through music or through the colors in the windows or through the shape up there, we bear a huge responsibility because we're addressing those imperatives. There is also an element of humor. I mean, you gotta laugh. You live in there, you gotta laugh. Okay. And this is from Charles Ludlam. Charles Ludlam is now dead. He ran a theater company in New York called the Ridiculous Theater Company. Only in New York could come up with a theater company called the Ridiculous Theater Company. And Charles Ludlam said, if you are going to tell people the truth, you better make them laugh at the same time. Otherwise, they'll kill you. Thank you very much.
It's always a masterclass. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was brilliant. That was great. Okay, right now we're actually gonna take up our weekly offering, and so we had I am working on Art Church. I feel like I'm kind of flying the plane as I'm building it. Like, this is actually just a pilot, and we started it, and we're continuing to go. And whenever I ask my artist friends if they'd like to be part of it, they say yes. So we're just trusting that the spirit of love is with us in this. So anyway, I had some musicians over. We were starting to plan for November music and trying to pull in all the different music that people loved. And so I was thinking about a hymn that had story in it. And so Blessed Assurance is the hymn that has story. And we all started playing. Amanda, Penny, everyone was over. And then finally Penny was just like, guys, we're listening to all these different versions, but have you heard CeCe Winan do this? Have you heard this song? So we are going to do it by the original soul. This is our first ever church karaoke. I know you love this song, but listen to this version of it and sing along if you want to. I love this one. Crank it, Kev.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchased of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood.
Amen. Like no one can, thank you also for our musicians jumping in there and everyone singing. But isn't it sort of fun to hear the gospel version of that song? Like there's something just so beautiful. And as we're trying out different styles and different, all different versions of art, I just want to have a closing blessing today. I know that we have a lot of people in our community that are just having some hard situations that are staring down some heaviness. And so I was just thinking the whole time RH was speaking, just thinking about, as a minister, it's so interesting because the more I search and study, the more questions I have. And it's this funny paradox of that truth of like between our feet is that image, and we are stardust. And that makes sense because we are all so uniquely formed. And I was talking with Rev Ted about this week. I was just like, okay, so what exactly do you believe? Because he was saying, the first peoples are really that's my faith. Is like we all take care of each other, and we respect creation, and we respect animals, and we respect the land. And that makes sense to me. I think for me, the story of, like just as a Christian minister, the story of Jesus, the one who came and flipped the script, gravity reversed itself, all of a sudden the last are first and the first are last. And Jesus, everyone quotes John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he sent his only son. That's a story, right? That whoever believes in him will not perish but have everlasting life. John 3:17, rarely quoted. Does anyone know what John 3:17 says, the verse right after that? For God did not come into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him, through love. God did not come into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through love. And that is a story that I am willing to risk being wrong about. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, Ted said to me, I kind of trust the Indigenous, the great mystery. There's just so much that we've learned. But the one thing that Shelley, who is a screenwriter and a storyteller, who's also saying a lot of the same things RH is saying, she's saying, like, I know I'm lucky to be working in my field, but also I'm really sick of this crap that I'm writing. I'm really sick of, like, what I have to write about, or having some makeout scene with teenagers for, like, 50-year-old men that I'm working with. Literally, like, this is the truth, though. So to hear someone with integrity say, my art is going to be used to tell stories that uplift the world that I believe in, that people can relate to. And C.S. Lewis is one of my favorites, and he said, the thing about story is it's the only medium in which you can experience and analyze something at the same time. You're in it, you're experiencing it. You can imagine when Arch is telling you stories about what he's done and you can picture the story being told. And our imaginations, especially if you've been gifted with an imagination, God often uses that. Like George Bernard Shaw's St. Joan, the whole third act is just him writing down the narrative of the actual interrogation that Joan had. It's the real interrogation, and he pulls from it, and he just uses it. And at one point, someone who's trying to help her says, don't you think that these voices that you're hearing in the bells are just your imagination? Like, don't you think that that's probably just... And she says, of course it's my imagination. How else does God speak to us? And I just thought, that's fascinating. So for me, I just want to say to you this morning, if you're having a heavy time, I chose this verse on the back. It's the Message translation by Eugene Peterson. But these are the words of Jesus. It says, are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I love that, the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. And just how that is so the opposite of so many of us raised in the church, like, I'm not going to put anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. You're my masterpiece. Scripture says you are poema. You bring great delight. You are created with a purpose and gifts. So that's what I would say this week. If you're having a hard time, ground yourself in this. Take a deep breath in of love. Breathe in. And breathe out fear. And breathe in hope. And breathe out despair. Your role Like Jesus came and he said, all of the laws and all of the prophets, I didn't come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. They can all be summed up in this one command. Love God, love other people. And for the rest of Scripture, whenever Jesus is quoted, whenever that is repeated, it's just shortened to love other people. Remember when Jesus said, love other people? That's the way we love God. So all through this next coming November leading into Advent, we're going to continue to talk about stories. We're also going to I want you to consider what other people's stories might be, like even the stories that we assign to people who cut us off in traffic. Like literally, there's some of the things that it's like my worst version of, I call it my worst minister moment. There's one every day. And it's like, oh, that wasn't love. But what the story I'm telling myself versus the story I assigned to that person. Do you know what I mean? When we assign ourselves so much understanding, like I'm so tired, I'm so late, the traffic was terrible. We always give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. But like, what are the stories we tell about other people? How do we say yes to love? How do we stop our own impulses to say, I know who I am, I know what my gifts are, I know what my call is in the world, and it's to choose the next most loving thing. And so if you're tired and weary and burned out on religion, I think that I just want to offer you that you're loved, you're perfect, you are being transformed into perfection, but our mistakes don't define us. We have a new start every second. And I just want to close as I'm actually just going to play the piano. This is ridiculous that I'm asking Amanda to move for me to play the piano because she's just the most gifted person in the world. But I have been asked by some of my friends to play this song this morning, and it wouldn't have been my normal choice, but now I see how it fits perfectly. This song is called From a Distance, and it's for Colleen Isherwood, who is recovering from hip surgery, and she requested this. It's also for, I was just going to play it. It's also for, it's for Marjorie. It's for Renata. It's for Ted, who lost his son Greg, and they had that celebration of life yesterday. And the one thing about this song that I didn't really love is just theologically, I couldn't really make it work in my head, because I was like, there's God loving us from a distance. And I was like, that's not really how I imagine God. Like, I think God's like with us constantly. But the one thing that I thought of when I prayed about that, I was like, God, how can that work in my mind? And it was story. It was a story of the prodigal son. And does anyone remember? He was walking home to his father, and he was saying, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Please, would you just take me and put me as a hired hand on your property? And Scripture says, while he was still a long way off, from a distance, the father recognized the shape of his son. He recognized the gait of his son. And even though his son was thin and fragile and broken and didn't look at all, he still was waiting and watching for him. And as soon as he saw his son, and this was not done in those times as a wealthy landowner, he threw off his cloak, he lifted up his robes, and he ran to his child. He ran to his child, and the son, he practiced his speech. I have sinned against heaven, against you. I'm no longer worthy. The father interrupts him, throws his arms around him, lifts him up, kisses him over and over, and screams for his servants, my son who was lost is found. He has come home. We're having a party to celebrate. And so that's the distance with which I think God is the divine. However you want to say it. If God is too weird for you, just try love. But I just feel like there's a great force of love that moves through the universe that holds us fast and will never let us go. And I just hope that gives you comfort, that would be real in your experience and not just your knowledge. Okay. Oh, oops, I just put it on. Okay. Let's just try it like this, I guess. Are you okay with that? Okay. Okay, Colleen Isherwood, when you're watching with your recovery, this is for you. I might need this closer even. Jeff, I might need to make some. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'll just start playing. work? Yeah, great. From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the eagle takes to fly. Can I have a little more sound to my mic? Thanks. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope. It's the voice of peace. It's the voice of every human. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no guns, no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of every man. And God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I just cannot comprehend what all of this fighting is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the hope of hopes. It's the love of loves. It's the heart of every human. One more time. It's the hope of hopes. It's the love of loves. This is the song of every man. And God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. And God is always moving towards God's creation, God's child. Love is always moving towards you. If you are feeling heavy today, you are not alone. You are deeply loved. Partner with love. Look for the way love breaks through this week. God is with you. Bless you as you go, Humber Valley United Church. We are going to have a little talk back with RH in about 5 minutes. I know we're a little bit late this morning, but if anyone wants to stay, ask this brilliant guy some questions. We're pretty lucky to have him here this morning. All right, go in peace.
Thank you all so much.